How Fury and McGregor are connected to Mafia. Conor wanted to be a two-time champion and a tough dude all his life. Unfortunately, his dreams came true. In this video, you will learn about the connection between the biggest star in MMA and the criminal world. This is a sad and desperate story about Conor, who went from rocks to riches and became a two-time champion. Now he's suspected of selling banned substances and is in trouble with the Irish Mafia. McGregor got into all of this. We get it, the mob will always be around, and those who think otherwise sooner or later end up facing them. And this is what McGregor's childhood looked like, but he never encountered them in person. Conor had mentioned in many times that he was the little guy that got bullied by bigger guys, and it's no surprise that the family never paid attention to him. But this happened on his rise to stardom. Conor fulfilled his first goal. He became the champion. He is considered to be the biggest star in his homeland, Ireland, and when he got starstruck, he really went Tony Montoya mode and had a truly off-the-field behavior, and many wanted to make him pay for it. Khabib made him pay in the cage and forgot about it, but when Conor crossed Khans, the situation was so intense that it made Khabib look like a choir boy. Conor was once in a bar, and after an argument, he punched a man. At that point, his second dream came true. Now he found himself surrounded by tough guys. It so happened that the person was the father of one of the Mafia's leaders, Graham Willan. To top that, Graham was in the same bar too. Conor had no idea what he got himself into. McGregor's pub Marble Arch came into his hands for a reason. Conor bought it after he hit the old man into it. Coincidence? The bar cost him 15 million euro. It's not an easy purchase. It was an offer for which he could not refuse. McGregor bought it out for the interest of the very Kinahan Cartel in order to move drugs through it. Kinahan Cartel is one of the two main mafia cartels in Ireland. The second one is the Hutch Mafia. Their feud has a long story with drive-bys, shootings, and all the things we see in the Martin Scorsese, Ritchie, and Tarantino movie. As for Graham, he's one of the biggest drug dealers in the country. After that night in the bar, many journalists got the information that the Kinahan family put the word out. 900 grand for Conor McGregor's head. But there has been no assaults conducted, and over time, photos and videos started to hit the surface where Conor was hanging out with those who put the word out for his head. Let's go back a bit to Conor's early life, because this isn't the first time Conor has such a close relationship with the Mafia. The fact is that the whole area where Conor grew, he worked as a plumber and trained for the first time one of the most important areas in Dublin under the control of Kinahan. Literally half the streets are either family members or their children, and the people with whom you see Conor in the photographs belong to the main crime lord. In Ireland, which is known for its drug trafficking, Conor also attended the funeral of gangster Paul Kavanagh in April 2015, who was rumored to have been killed by the Kinahan clan. McGregor's friends with Paul's nephew, Jamie Kavanagh, a professional boxer. In 2015, Jamie was supposed to fight at a boxing tournament but his fight didn't take place due to a shooting at the way to the hotel, in which involved members of the Kinahan Cartel. Conor often became part of the Mafia's stories. For example, remember the news about the arson of McGregor's bar? Black Forge, there is such a character as Ian Maloney, who goes by the nickname Dog. He tells you nothing, but you need to know that he has 80 criminal records and is an enemy with Conor's friend, who is also in the Mafia. Ian and Conor's friend had a firefight in 3 mulo of cocktails back in the day. Maloney was known in Dublin as a violent criminal and a member of the Hutch Mafia. He's in feud terms with a drug dealer, Crumlin, and his family home. He once bombarded in response. Maloney's dealer was behind a firebombing in this area, and after that, a friend of Maloney's was blown up. In general, the guys had fun to the fullest. The crumbly drug dealer Maloney's targeting is McGregor's close friend. He regularly drinks the McGregor's pub, the Black Forge, and for this reason, he was pelted with mulo of cocktails. McGregor had a lot of information and videos about what he uses. Many of his fans didn't believe it, but anyone looking at Conor's face in these videos understands that a person is in an altered consciousness, and we wish to warn you that we're against drugs of any form and urge you not to ever use them. But in Dublin and almost all of Ireland, cocaine has long become fashionable thanks to the Kinahan family and that very Graham Willan. The whiskey and coke mix is the new Irish club classic. Conor, having received his first winning money, couldn't stay out of this fashion and became addicted to the stuff from a man whom he didn't even know. After the fight with Mendes, there was a video where Conor and some girls celebrate his victory in this way. After defeating Aldo, Conor increased the dose even more, starting saying that he was a god and stuff like that. The cherry on top, of course, was the fight with Mayweather, after which Conor finally went on a bad trip that began to destroy his health and career. But in addition to drinking, Conor began to communicate too much with the Kinahan clan, and there was information that he even helped them in drug trafficking. Conor's head coach, John Kavanagh, wrote in his book that after McGregor's first MMA loss, they had a serious conversation. John told Conor that he knew about his friendship with people with whom he shouldn't be associated with, and also he knew that the fighter was doing things that he shouldn't be doing. Conor vowed to change that, and remember how McGregor stayed in Dubai between fights with Poirier? The Kinahan family actually lives there. Conor said he had a camp there and knitted high-tech training equipment, but most likely this is far from the case due to the fact that Conor had become addicted to alcohol and cocaine. Lately, this may have been the reason for such ardent behavior in the cage, insulting the opponent's wives and others. It's not for nothing. McGregor sent his wife and children away from him, staying only in the male environment. There's also speculation that Tyson Fury, a world heavyweight champion, and the former middleweight champion Billy Joe Saunders are related to the same family as Conor. They all have photos in common with the members of the Kinahan clan. Alcohol and drugs is something in common between them. The three fighters mentioned above are in it, but McGregor stands out there. By the way, both Fury and McGregor, after close contact with the clan, became very addicted to substances and alcohol. They both found themselves in a prolonged depression, which is why they took a long break. Unfortunately, contact sports are always surrounded by characters like that. George Masudo has repeatedly asked for justice for his alleged friend, who was wrongfully thrown into jail, but in fact, if you check, we're talking about a murder. Darren Till's downturn began when he returned to Liverpool and began allegedly collaborating with people who had broken the law more than once. As a rule, there is no way out of the criminal world. Conor is in a big hole, from which he will probably never get out, and the fights are out of the question. It's fashionable to mix whiskey and coke these days. Now, this has become even bigger consistent parties, alcohol, drugs, and stress in the relations with the Mafia. Leave a mark. Many have noticed that McGregor began to go bull. P.O. joked about it more than once. The depression issue was also brought up about the fact that Conor's losing himself and his head is not all focused on the fight's question. How can he be focused on fighting when he's constantly drugging himself into problems that can lead to a fatal outcome? The point here is that Conor, it's not the first and far from the last fighter who is closely connected to the criminal world. Unfortunately, this is a true story. There is a huge amount of evidence for this. Despite the good job that the Irishman's managers did, unlike Fury, he didn't manage to turn the narrative 180 degrees, but simply took on the image of the bad, balding guy.